What's good? What's good? Hoop Dreams fans, welcome to another Agee and Gates. This time, WNBA update. And man, I don't know about y'all, but what happened last year in the WNBA, I can't wait for this season to get up and going. And let me just throw this at you guys really quick. The WNBA, I just got to give you this so the people know the historical components of this. Was founded April 24th, 1996. Its headquarters is New York. Last year champions are the New York Liberty. The WNBA is in its 29th season, 13 teams, two conferences, and 44 games. Let me give you the teams really quick. We got the Atlantic Dream, the Chicago Sky, Connecticut Suns, Dallas Wings. New entering the WNBA is the Golden State, I want to get this name right, Valkyries, Indiana Fever, Las Vegas Aces, Los Angeles Sparks, Minnesota Lynx, New York Liberty, Phoenix Mercury, Seattle Storm, and the Washington Mystics. Join me today in Agee on this episode of WNBA Preview is none other than Zach Draves, who actually has been in this game for so long. We call him the expert here. That's going to be your new name, Zach. You are the expert on all things WNBA. Man, welcome to the show again. So glad to have you with us. What's going on with you?
Well, first of all, Will, just being in your guys' company just means a whole lot. And I appreciate the title of WNBA expert. I wouldn't say I'm the best expert, but I'm getting there. I'm working my way up. I'm always,
No, you be bringing the heat, man.
thank you,
You
thank you.
bring the heat. Absolutely, absolutely. And we're glad to have you on the show. But man, let's jump into this thing because I want to start back with the W because there's been a lot of moves in the off season
Uh-huh.
that I think is going to create a lot of fun for this year. First of all, I just got to start here with you, man. All five of the Connecticut Suns starters traded.
Uh-huh.
Where does that happen at?
Your guess is as good as mine. And it's amazing just the trajectory that they've been on these last couple of years because keep in mind, dating all the way back to 2022 when they made that run to they defeated the Chicago Sky in the semifinals in the postseason, and then they made it to the finals. And they've been a team that had loaded with talent, and they were just right on the brink of getting over the hump of potentially winning a championship. But then you look at who they were stacked up against. You got the Aces, you got the Liberty, you got all of these other teams that had tremendous talent, and they just never seemed to get over that. And now with the roster completely, just gone and going to different teams, it's going to be truly a rebuilding year to say the least for the Sun. But you're right. The idea that all five of their starters are now traded away and now they have to start from scratch, it's unheard of. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do going into this season.
Yeah, that's insane. Here's another one. Jewel Lloyd, Kelsey Plummer. What? First of all, I didn't even see this coming. Maybe Jewel Lloyd a little bit more than Kelsey because Jewel Lloyd, I just think she really kind of just have run her course. She did what she needed to do up there in Seattle, got some championships. Yeah, you need some new motivation. So I see her moving on. But what I did not see is the Aces getting rid of Kelsey because one, I thought she was such a compliment to Asia because she's one of the true combo guards in the league that can legitimately create a shot and get a bucket at any moment. Why do you think they got rid of Kelsey?
I mean, it's still up in the air for me, but you're right. She was a tremendous asset to that team, and the team really did feed off of her. And KP is really the definition of what constitutes a playmaker, getting the best out of everybody. She got the best out of Asia. She got the best out of Jackie. She got the best out of Chelsea, and the it speaks for itself. I mean, she's very versatile. She can spread the offense. She can facilitate the offense. She knows how to read, the offense, read the defense, and be able to create opportunities for others to score. And so, yeah, I don't really know, but but there's no doubting that KP has left an indelible impression on Vegas, and they don't win those championships, or they don't win that championship without her. And she's been a standard bearer ever since her college days, and her future is still very bright. She can go make an impact wherever. And then as far as Jewel Lloyd goes, I mean, Chicago, shout out to Jewel Lloyd from Chicago. So yeah, she's accomplished everything there is in the game. She's done it all. She's seen it all. And so now she's at a point, I guess, in her career where she's wanting to sort of go out in the way that she wants to, and to be able to finish it out on her own terms. But there's no question about it that she's left an indelible impression as well.
Oh, absolutely. But I want to take it a little bit further. I want to get your take on this again with Kelsey, and and really from the Jewel Lloyd perspective coming in to be that player. I think their games are so different. Like Kelsey is just she can move the defense in many directions. I didn't think the Aces needed not necessarily a scorer, a shooter. Like they got a team full of shooters. You went out and got another shooter, and you gave up a playmaker. Like to me, whether you in the WNBA, the NBA, college, both on the men and women's side, high school on the men, it's hard to find playmakers. Why would you give up such a playmaker and you don't replace that playmaker with a playmaker? Because I think for Jewel Lloyd, I think this is a great move for her. She gets to go in and she play with her Olympic buddies and keep that momentum going. But why do you think they went after Jewel Lloyd?
I think for the exact reasons that you mentioned, they wanted just another shooter. I mean, Jewel Lloyd is at that stage where, she's at an advanced stage in her career, certainly, but she can still shoot the ball. And it wasn't that long ago where the Chicago Sky were even hinting at the possibility of snatching her up from Seattle. And when she declared to be a free agent, they were looking at, potentially seeing if they could obtain her skills, considering that yeah, she's at an older stage in her career, but she can still shoot the ball when she needs to. And the Chicago Sky certainly, they're entering this season with a greater emphasis on shooting the ball and just offense in general. But I think, from the Aces perspective, I think, they just wanted somebody to sort of add to their depth of shooters. I mean, you got Asia Wilson, who's, in my estimation, the best all-around player in the game. And then you got, Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray, who have really come into their own as great shooters in the league. And I think they just wanted to add to that depth in that regard. But you're right, in terms of having a playmaker, you need someone to steer the ship. And KP was that person, kind of bringing it back, to old school NBA. I mean, the Lakers of the 80s, you had some great shooters in Michael Cooper, and you had, Kareem in the post, obviously, and you also had, eventually Byron Scott, and you had James Worthy who could shoot the ball, but but you need Magic who could direct the offense, facilitate the offense, direct the traffic, and the rest speaks for itself. So you do need that playmaker to be able to steer the ship and be able to get the best out of everybody. And so now what this does as far as the Aces go, it kind of puts them in position to where somebody has to step outside of their comfort zone and be able to sort of pick up where KP left off. And given that, if you ask me, I think, Jewel, with her experience and her leadership and everything that she brings to the table, she could be the one to pick up where KP left off. And I'm almost certain that Asia and Jackie and Chelsea and all of them will certainly follow her lead, because, her game speaks for itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fun fact, I used to be Jewel Lloyd's youth pastor back in the day. Fun
Really?
fact. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, this is what's throwing me off. Probably out of all the moves, it's two moves in the WNBA that has thrown me off with the trades. One, Brittany Griner in the ATL,
Uh-huh.
and Dewana Bonner with the Fever.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure about Brittany going to the ATL because, to me, Atlanta watched a lot of their games last year. They need a lot. I mean, they got some pieces, but they need some pieces. DeWanna Bonner going with the fever, and what the fever got over there, and I want to get into this at some point. Man, the fever is looking really good on paper. I mean, they look amazing. But man, what's your take on Brittany after everything she's gone through, coming back and now, you know, transitioning from the love and support she's received all these years, go to the ATL. And my question for you is this kind of like the end of the road for Brittany right now?
Perhaps. I think perhaps. It was a shock to all of us when BG announced that she was going to Atlanta. And out of all the teams that she could have gone to, the Dream, I mean, they have potential. They've had potential for some time, but they're still trying to get over their hump. They're still trying to restructure, still trying to find an identity. And I think now they certainly do have an identity because you got BG and she's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And, she certainly adds, the height and strength aspect to their game, which, you can make the case that they've been lacking for some time. But I think it's potential that maybe she's at the point in her career where she's poised to, bring the curtain down. And, you know, she's done it all. I mean, she's done everything that's been asked for in terms of, her career. And her record speaks for itself, Olympic gold medals, and she left an indelible impression at Baylor. And then, of course, what she had to go through while she was held up in Russia, that international saga that ensued afterwards. And thankfully, she was released and was able to be back playing again. And it was a hard recovery, just to say the least, with what she had to go through. She's now a new mom. So she and her wife have, a baby boy now. So I think she's at that stage in her life where she kind of wants to finish her career, maybe help boost a new team and, sort of help them charter a new course and help them cultivate an identity. And I think in the next few years, don't know when, but I think she's, at that stage now where she's, trying to go out with a bang and enter in her next stage in life.
Yeah, everybody can't do what Candace Parker did.
That's true, Agee. That is true. That's true. And you always got to put Chicago on the map. Always got to put Chicago on the
Absolutely.
map.
Absolutely.
Everybody,
And
everybody
don't
can't
forget
do
it.
what she did.
Yeah.
Which, by the
And
way,
did it,
there's
and did it
been
twice.
did it twice, exactly. Which, by the way, I mean, she wins a championship with the Sparks. She wins a championship with the Sky. And then she goes to the Aces and wins a championship there, even while she was injured. Even while
Injured.
during that time injured, she was still part of that team and contributed. And now, the sky's the limit for her. Now she's enjoying her retirement. She's enjoying the next stage of her career. And it's interesting. I was thinking about this over the weekend. you know, Historically, like Candace Parker, she's been largely overlooked, which is hard to believe, right? It's hard to believe that she's been overlooked during this time, compared to some of the other greats in the W. But you ask anybody, they will tell you, her impact doesn't go unnoticed, and I think also part of it, if dealing with injuries and then family circumstances and whatnot, some people will say, you know could she have been better had she, not gone through some periods of injuries or turbulent or, trials and tribulations and so forth, or family circumstances. But when you think about it, even after all that, she still came back and she was still a great player and a great leader, one of the most passionate players you could ever be around. I still remember covering the 2022 semifinals when they lost to the Sun in Chicago. And kind of paraphrasing what she said afterwards, she was saying that the last thing that she wanted to do was cheat the game. And I was really struck by that because one thing about Candace Parker is that she loves to play. She loves the game. The game is a part of her and always will be a part of her. And it really struck me because it sort of was an indication that she was thinking that the end was coming, and the last thing she wanted to do was not be at her best and let her team down and let herself down. And if she's not going to be up to par, then she's going to walk away. You know, it's kind of like the Jordan mentality. If I'm not up to speed, if I'm not on top of my game, and if the love isn't there, then I'm going to walk away. And so I still remember that, and that really struck me because she was at that stage now where I think she was entering a new part of her life. And then, Will, to answer your question about the Indiana Fever, DeWanna Bonner, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's championship buzz, you know, permeating all through social media and so forth.
Because you know they got our girl on that team also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And then you got Lexi Hall, and then you got Aaliyah Boston, and then you got Natasha Howard, and you got Kelsey Mitchell, and then Caitlin Clark, who I refer to as you know who. So, like, I was there this past Saturday or Sunday. I was in Iowa. I covered the Fever Brazil exhibition at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and it was everything that it was expected to be. I mean, and then just to cap it off, and you also have to factor in you also have to know that Caitlin, you know, she missed out on the first preseason game against the Washington Mystics with a leg injury, and so she was tending to that. And then she comes out, she plays around like 30 minutes in the exhibition against Brazil in her home at Iowa, and fittingly. And if you go to Carver Hawkeye Arena, they have the spot marked off where she became the all-time leading scorer. It's number 22 right there on the court. And she decides to just chuck it from that spot, and it goes in. No surprise. It goes in. And then the audience, and then the crowd just goes berserk. It was loud. And so and she even said after the game, like, the goal is to win a championship. And with that lineup, with that starting five, the mixture of veterans and youth, there's no telling what that team can do.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Zach. I'm a little upset they that good. I'm looking like my Chicago Sky. That hurts me knowing that they in the same division sitting over there. And I'm glad you brought those names up, man, because I want to get from both you and Agee. This is who I think right now, according to Will Gates, this is just my top 5 players, I think, in the WNBA right now. And then I want to get you guys' thoughts on it, but also, who are your top 5? I got one, Caitlin Clark, obviously, Napheesa Collier, A'ja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, and Angel Reese. Those are my top 5. What do you think about that list?
That's a pretty good list. Good list. I mean, I would.
Ain't bad.
It's not bad
Anybody
at all.
would you take out? Anybody would put in?
Oh my God, that's a good question. Well, I mean, you did mention A'ja Wilson.
Absolutely.
Like I said before, if you ask me, she's still the best all-around player in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's hard to, honestly, it's kind of hard to think about anybody else at this point. That's
I got a
pretty
small
good.
forward in Napheesa Collier. I got a power forward in Angel Reese. I got a 2 guard in Sabrina Ionescu. I got a point guard in Caitlin Clark. And I got who can play all 5 positions in A'ja Wilson.
If you ask me, that could actually be the starting lineup for the Olympics in 2028.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, Will, honestly. I can't argue with that. I don't know if AG's got something else up his sleeve.
Even though you bring that up, 2028, I want to throw some names at you, because since we're talking about that, you brought it up.
Okay.
I want to give you 3 names right now that could probably at some point, if the trajectory of their careers move forward, they might be able to crack this top 5.
Mm-hmm.
One, she isn't there yet, but she will be. You know, Juju coming.
I was just
Juju
thinking that.
is coming. I mean, we might as well call her WNBA player because she coming.
Oh, she is.
You got Paige Bueckers, Kiki Arefin. Hope I got her name right because she is so dominant. I mean, truthfully, if Juju doesn't get hurt, that UConn USC game would have been phenomenal. And then I'm going to throw a name at you both, man. Sonia Citron from Notre Dame. She tough, man. She tough.
I mean, it's almost absolute. I mean, it's funny you mention that because I was talking with some colleagues of mine this past Sunday, and we were talking about, who would be on the Olympic team in 2028, and the names that you mentioned earlier, your top five, Will, are pretty obvious. But Juju certainly would be on that team, and then Paige could be on that team. And the thing about Paige is, she's coming into the league with a tremendous amount of hype and a tremendous amount of expectation, playing for the Wings, a rebuilding franchise. The biggest thing is because she's a great all around player, and her trajectory coming from an ACL injury a few years ago to deciding to come back and stick it out for one more year at UConn, them winning the championship, a few months ago, having her best season ever, and then coming in as the number one pick. Obviously, there's all this hype and anticipation surrounding her. The biggest thing for her is making sure that she's healthy, making sure that she stays healthy, because there's a lot riding on it. I know that she's been working with a team of trainers to make sure that she stays healthy and looks after her regularly. So it's really incumbent upon her if she can remain healthy this season. And then if she can do that and she can put on an impressive season this year, maybe even win Rookie of the Year, there's no telling what she can do in the future. But I do agree that, when 2028 rolls around and it's time for the Olympics, she could definitely find a spot on that team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to say both of you and AG. Go ahead, AG.
Well, let me pick my five.
I ain't know you had five. Give them to me then. Give them to me then.
Let's
Who
go.
you got?
My five. This is my going with the Stewie. Going with
How can we
Asia.
forget that?
Going with Jonquel Jones.
JJ.
I'm going with Chelsea Gray. And then I'm going to end it with Sabrina.
That's pretty good.
I ain't mad at that list.
No,
I ain't
that's
mad at
pretty
that
good.
list.
Yeah.
I chose youth over age, so I ain't mad at your list. But I did.
Okay.
I chose the future. The folks that's carrying the lead. Don't get me wrong. I think Stewie's so dominant.
Uh-huh.
But we also recognize this too. Stewie's on the other side too. She's on the other side of it.
Yeah, but that she got her first one, and that getting that first one rejuvenates you a little bit. Like you get a taste of.
That's our first one in New York. That ain't our first one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, New York. That's like New York that has adopted her. Like that's our girl. So she I think she's been rejuvenated. She want to go back to back.
Well, I think that's going to be tough for New York this year. I don't think they got the horses.
They can still contend for it. They're still playoff caliber. But yes,
absolutely.
They got that. They still got JJ. They still got Benaje. They still got Stewie. They still got some great players.
But I think what they're hurting at is this year. I think they're going to be hurting at the point guard position. They're going to have to get it.
Yeah, because
my girl, she left and played for the Sky now.
Yeah, Courtney Vandersloot's coming back to Chicago, where it all began. Sloot. And that's going to be, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's going to be much to the betterment of Hailey Van Lith, who, can't forget about her, coming out of TCU, being drafted by Chicago, played with Angel Reese at LSU when they won the championship in 2023. I mean, Hailey is obviously somebody who's a very versatile guard, can shoot, can be a playmaker, like we was talking about before, Will, being a playmaker. And she's somebody who can certainly pattern her game after somebody like a Courtney Vandersloot, who holds some of the same tangibles that she does, and excuse me, and can shoot the ball as well, which again, the Chicago Sky really are in a position where they need to prove themselves offensively because they're coming off, a season in which under Teresa Witherspoon, they were more defensive oriented. And that worked in some ways, but then they were really hampered offensively, even though they had some offensive assets. But now coming in with Tyler Marsh, coming from the Aces, who helped develop Asia Wilson, and, with his keen on shooting the ball and just, being a more offensive oriented team, that'll do wonders for somebody like Hailey Van Lith, and it'll be natural for Courtney Vandersloot as she makes her return.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I wanted to save the Chicago Sky toward the end of our thing, because I got so many questions for you about the Sky. And I know that you specifically work with them. But I want to throw this at you and AG really quickly. I got two names that I think, and there may be some more that can be added to this list, but right now I got two names I want to throw at y'all who I think is going to have like the breakout season. I got Rickea Jackson. I think she is this is going to be the year when she established herself. I'm it. And Cameron Brink.
That's good.
Who do you all have that needs to or will have a breakout season this year?
Ooh, I can't argue with you, Will. I got a Cameron Brink, certainly. I mean, I'm hoping that she has a breakout season. It was unfortunate that last year in her rookie year, she goes down with an injury and was sidelined for the rest of the year, and we didn't really get to see the full scope of what she can do. So I'm hoping that she has that breakout season. I couldn't agree more.
AG?
Man, I want the girl Haley
Haley Van Lith.
and I want her to be to establish herself with Angel Reese, have that connection back, because if she has a breakout season, the sky will be steady.
Mm-hmm.
Cause Sloop gonna do what she gonna do, but it's those others. And I don't know if y'all know this. Does Angel Reese has the flukiest game ever? Like she's like the female Jokic to me. Her layups, her jump shots, like it look weird, but that shit goes in.
I think what I love so much about Angel's game is that you're right. It is a little unorthodox.
Yeah.
But what she does is she positions herself and she's always in the right spots. Whether it's a fast break, whether it's a rebound, whether she's running the wing, whether she's playing the 5 spot, like she understands court positioning. And man, that's so hard for athletes because, we just want to get out and go. But she actually, thinks the game and process it through. But I want to throw this at you guys, and because I think, in my eyes, it has had a huge impact on the W, and I believe coming up for this season. I want to ask you guys, I want to ask both of you all, how did you think the Unrivaled season, what kind of impact will it have on the W? Because from my perspective, them not having to go overseas and being able to stay here and stay healthy and get the treatment and all these other things, and then just mentally being home around their families and in one spot. What kind of impact do you think Unrivaled will have, if any, on the W this year?
Let me go, Zach. Let me
Go
go,
ahead.
Zach.
Go ahead, AJ.
It will have, just an amazing opportunity for these women to be able to stay in the United States and get paid well. Because that was the whole thing of why they had to go overseas. There was nothing here for them during the wintertime, for them to stay here and make that money. So I believe that inaugural season with the Unrivaled League of what it did, it was so much participation from the outside of the companies. People from all walks of life have invested into this thing. So I think the money can only grow from here, because I think it's going to be an actual fight next year with girls trying to battle it out, trying to make one of them teams. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Oh, I love it.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's another avenue for them to take advantage of where they can showcase their talents and then also be compensated pretty decently. And you see all the investors coming in and putting their money behind it. I think, if I want to get it right, Steph Curry put some money behind it. Juju put some money behind it. And now Paige, not only does she get drafted by the Wings, but she's also signed a deal to play for Unrivaled next year. And so she's going to get paid very, very handsomely for it. And I think one of the things that was so attractive about Unrivaled to a lot of players that compelled them to want to play, especially those, who need the money, is that, unrivaled because of the investments, because of all the money that was flowing in for it. They were able to reap the benefits of their labor in a way that the WNBA had historically not been able to do so,
Able to do. Yep.
because Will, you said at the outset, talking about the history of the WNBA, the WNBA has always had to play from behind, has always had to play catch up, and they're still playing catch up. And, now they're, in the midst of negotiating a new CBA agreement and working out the kinks for that. And what does that do, in terms of the future of the league, salary wise and so forth? But Unrivaled is a good alternative for those players who do still want to play, or in some cases, still need to continue to play in order to continue supplementing their income without having to go overseas. And especially, going into countries like Russia and China and so forth. And, I think it's a good alternative. And then it's interesting, Asia Wilson, was recently asked not too long ago about, why she decided not to play in Unrivaled. Well, she's at a stage in her career where she doesn't have to. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, she's got her new Nike Aura shoe, her own signature shoe with Nike. That's been a long time
Drops
coming.
today.
Drops today, and I already saw from shout out to Shakia Taylor, formerly of the Chicago Tribune, now the Athletic. Love her to death. I saw a tweet that she posted in which she said that they were sold out. So,
Damn.
yeah, like she's at a stage where she doesn't need to uh, play in the off season because she's finding other ways to supplement her income through endorsements. I mean, Caitlin Clark, obviously, she doesn't, she could play for Unrivaled if she wanted to, but she doesn't really have to. And Angel Reese, she did play in Unrivaled, and she really did make a huge impact there. But she's working and striving towards being in a position where she can supplement her income through endorsement deals, with McDonald's and Reese's and her own shoe from Reebok and so forth. And so I think it's a great alternative for those players who still want to continue to play and continue to get paid. And then you're also seeing some of the best players in the league who are taking advantage of being able to just rest, during the off season and not have to worry about where their next check is coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody wins in that case.
Absolutely. And I just want to throw out there so folks know that the new CBA deal, it will not kick in this year, to kick in the following year.
Correct.
That's why you'll see a lot of the WNBA players only signing 1 year deals because they like, we're going to wait on that money, which is, like you said earlier, Zach, it's long overdue because, it's funny, it kind of remind me of Agee and I. Somebody had to be the first to make it better for everybody else. And but hopefully at some point this league get to the point where they can even begin to start honoring, kind of like what the NBA do now with the ABA players. They take care of them. At some point I would love to see the WNBA even grow to that level where they're like, you know what, we need to take care of those people who played up there in Houston. Houston Comets was huge for the WNBA. I mean, first of all, their picture should be plastered in every arena that a WNBA team plays in. I mean, they were that critical. They set a blueprint for the W. Speaking of the W, man, in this regards of adding teams, W just added the Golden State Valkyries. First of all, I'm excited about that. And then I believe the following year, Toronto's team, which Serena Williams is actually co-owner of that team. This is huge, man, that the league is growing. You see that now that the women's game is literally getting to the point where it's like we got to add more teams because I think we said earlier, how many teams we say it is? There is
13.
13 teams.
Yeah.
It's time for growth. It's time for growth
Yeah,
because
it
the
is.
women's game has expanded itself to that level. I mean, again, you look at what happened with the women's Final Four again. Just huge numbers. Huge numbers.
Yeah.
There is a cry for this. But your thoughts on this Golden State Valkyries team? As a matter of fact, you see Steph Curry out there with the warming up with the Golden State Valkyries t-shirt on. What kind of impact you think they're going to have this year?
Well, I think, I mean, are they going to be a playoff worthy team? No, but they're getting up off the ground. But they're going to make an impression right off the bat. And if you ask me, no better place to have a team than Golden State or in the Oakland area, San Francisco
Yep.
Bay Area, because they already have an established basketball culture and a vibrant culture there because of the Warriors. And so there's no better place for a team like that to be able to get their foot into the league. And as far as like the other teams go that are coming down the pike, Toronto has a very great basketball culture because of the Raptors. And then, teams Cleveland is going to look to have a team. They're probably going to bring back the Detroit Shock. There's already talk about that. Eminem put his name into an ownership group. Eminem, Marshall Mathers. Yes, that's something.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and then
Hey, I was
Go
gonna
ahead, AJ.
say what's good about the Golden State is so many colleges there in that region.
Uh-huh.
So they would be smart to grab those girls from that California, Oakland area. You know what I'm saying? To build that fan base.
I think also what happens when you start adding teams, man, we don't get what we saw this year. And this was my concern this year from the draft. There's a lot of really, really talented players that will not be able to play this year because there's just no room.
Uh-huh.
And that's unfortunate because when you got players that got existing contracts, you can't move them like that. You can only try to move them to another team. But,
Right.
literally, we had first rounders who was cut this year. And you don't want to see that because, they're trying to live out their dream. And we just need more teams in the league right now so that more of these superior athletes can get an opportunity to showcase their talent, man. I just feel really bad for those that have either got drafted this year, got cut, or those who, bounced around a little bit will not be able to catch on to a team. It just shows you, man, that there is a strong need there.
There
But
is, and I'm glad you brought that up because one example that just happened yesterday was Cheyenne Sellers, who was coming out of Maryland, the daughter of Brad Sellers, who played on the Bulls. She was drafted by the Valkyries and then she was waived, but then the Atlanta Dream comes swooping in and they sign her. And so you're right, like with the expansion of the league in the future with other teams, that'll create more roster spots for these players that are deserving of that chance. Like this past Sunday when I was at Iowa, covering the Fever Brazil exhibition, the Fever had Bree Hall, who was on South Carolina, and she played fairly well. She shot the ball well. She scored a couple buckets. But then just a few days later, she was waived. And, I don't know like what the future holds for her, but you're right. With the expansion of the league and additional teams coming down the pike, that's only going to be better in terms of at least having more roster spots available for these players.
And it's going to take the pressure off because
Yep.
the window from the draft to training camp
Yep.
to preseason,
Mhm.
I mean, we're talking days, not weeks. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
it's like boom, 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 boom. But speaking of that, man, go ahead, AG. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
No, I was gonna say it's just it mirrors the men's game. Like you can get drafted, but you still got to make the team.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is tough. Like you go into camp and you see all these veterans, you be like, damn.
But
I'm gonna have to bring
the
it.
thing that they're missing is if you're a first rounder, at least in the league, you
Yeah.
get that guaranteed.
You get
But
that, yeah.
in the W, there is no guarantee in that first
Exactly.
round. And the second round players,
And they
you
made
walk
it.
away with recognition.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the HBCU girl who they said she got waived. They made a big funk about that. Like she definitely can play on that level.
Oh, absolutely.
She
Absolutely.
can definitely play in the WNBA. So
Absolutely.
if somebody looking for a diamond in the rough and like, man, go get that girl.
And I think she will be back. I think there's going to be more opportunity. But yeah, it's unfortunate because she's not the only one. Zach was saying it earlier.
Yep.
It's when you got existing contracts. I mean, you can.
And
I
there's
mean,
Oh, go ahead, Will.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to say, to go off on Agee's point, in terms of HBCU talent, like, and this isn't just specific to the WNBA, but this goes for the NBA and everywhere else. Like, they would be frankly stupid to overlook, the talent that's blossoming out of HBCUs. I mean, we're seeing it in the NFL. Some of the best players in the NFL, some of the top players in the NFL, top draft picks, derive from HBCUs. So if you want to look for some additional talent, you
Yeah.
got to go to Spelman or Morehouse or Hampton or FAMU and
Yep.
Howard. You got to go to these schools because that's where you're going to get a lot of talent.
I will say this one thing, and this is why I've always been so in favor of the NIL deals because to me this really helps the women's game tremendously. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think it helps everybody. But the fact that um, you can do your 4 years in college, make some great money, and if something like this doesn't work out, you can get the opportunity to go overseas and play. But the stress of like, man, I didn't get that job, like don't weigh heavy on you because you can
Hmm.
still focus on the game and get better and come back. So, but fellas, I want to leave that right there. But I want to do really quickly, man, before we jump into the Chicago Sky, let me throw out some key dates for the 2025 WNBA season. May 16th, the season starts. May 17th, the Liberty have their ring ceremony. June 1st
Mm.
through 17th is the Commissioner's Cup. June 29th, you talked a little bit about this earlier. Candace Parker gets her jersey retired in LA. July 1st is the Commissioner's Cup championship game. July 19th is the All-Star game. September 11th is the end of the regular season. And September 14th, the playoffs begins. So the WNBA got a full slate. Get out there and watch your games and continue to support what these amazing athletes are doing. But Zach, we want to get into the business right now, man. You specifically, yes, you are all things WNBA, but with an emphasis on the Chicago Sky. How is the Chicago Sky looking this year? They had what I thought one of the greatest turnarounds last year, made the playoffs, lost. Coach gets fired after coming in with such like we finally got the right coach, and I was like, ooh, they fired her. Like, okay,
Uh-huh.
that was crazy. Like, is there a level of calm over there? There's a level of concern over there, confusion. What are you seeing out of Chicago Sky organization right now?
I see a tremendous amount of excitement and anticipation, just because of not only who the Sky were able to draft, with the obvious one being Haley Van Lith and what she brings and her skill set and so forth. But then you also have Courtney Vandersloot coming back, obviously. You also have Ariel Atkins, another established veteran, coming in to help kind of steer the young players in the right direction. Obviously Angel and then Camila Cardoso and them, Angel in particular, building off of what she was able to do last season, Camila, looking to establish more of an identity. And really, as I mentioned before, the Sky are really starting to enter the season with, an emphasis on offense. And so Tyler Marsh comes in, he's very offensive minded and sees the potential in these players. The obvious talk surrounding Angel is her needing to expand her game and being able to shoot from all different spots on the floor, not just in the paint or underneath the basket. I mean, her rebounding, it speaks for itself. Her inside game speaks for itself. She's very agile, very athletic, can get in transition. Camila Cardoso can help spread the floor and create those kind of second chance opportunities as well. So the potential is there for the Sky to, at the very least, contend for the playoffs. Now, it'll be years before we can even say that they could contend for a championship. But this year,
Right.
the expectation coming in is that at the very least, they could at least contend for the playoffs, given that they have a tremendous amount of assets, both in terms of who they got in veteran players and then also who they got as young players. And so it's going to be exciting to see. And from, talking to colleagues and consulting with colleagues and so forth, they're saying that there's a tremendous amount of optimism surrounding the team and budding potential surrounding the team to where they may not feel as though they were constrained to be sort of one-dimensional as they probably were last year under Teresa Witherspoon. But this year they can be a lot more, they can sort of unleash their talents in the offensive side of things a lot more.
Yeah, I think they need to play faster.
Play faster, yeah. Push the tempo.
Yep. They definitely need to do that.
But to be able to go faster, you got to have some shooting.
It's a big thing.
Who do you see right now in the sky that's able to give them that level of scoring from the outside?
I mean, obviously, Courtney Vandersloot can. I mean, she's one of the best shooters, best pure shooters in the league and has been for some time. I mean, she's lights out from beyond the arc. I mean, Haley Van Lith, once she gets fully adjusted, she can certainly, push the tempo, shoot from the outside, score inside, and is a playmaker as well. Angel, obviously, can do the dirty work in the paint and be able to score off of offensive rebounds, but then also be able to take some chances and score from at least mid-range. It'll be a while before she could at least get back to shooting from the outside, but at the very least, she has the potential to be able to score from mid-range and be effective. And then you also got Camila Cardoso and her ability to be able to score inside, as well as segue into being a more mid-range and offensive shooter as well. So I think going into this season for the Sky, their ability to shoot the ball, it's hard to pinpoint who exactly just because they got so many players who are capable of scoring. But what you'll see is as the season progresses, you'll be able to see Sky players be able to score from all different spots on the floor and also not be afraid to be able to score and be able to take shots. This year with a coach who is putting the emphasis on that, I think you'll see them be able to score from all spots on the floor and to be able to at least contend for the playoffs. Not a championship, but at least contend for the playoffs.
Say the least, man. I think Chicago Sky will be an interesting, and I want to be careful how I say this, an interesting rebuilding experiment.
Absolutely.
Under the new coach. But I will say this. I think they will be fun to watch because anytime you got Angel Reese out there, Courtney Vandersloot, Camila Cardoso, I mean, they're going to be fun to watch, and I do think they will compete in every game. And like you said, with the change pulled off them, man, I do think, no pun intended, but the sky is the limits. Listen, Zach, man, we want to thank you for coming out and giving us your take on the W this year. I'm excited about it. I'm always excited about the W. Agee and I, we've been following, I think it all started, back in 96, even before then, when that Olympic team went out, and really opened up the doors. And when they went on that tour, a lot of people don't remember, but that Olympic team went on a tour around the United States preparing. They were a dream team all of their own. So, man, we want to thank you for being on the show. Tell folks where they can find you at.
You guys can find me on Twitter, X, at Draves Zachary. So my last name and my first name. You can follow me on Instagram at zdraves0633. And the reason why I put 0633, 6 Bill Russell, 33 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So that was intentional. So that's where you can follow me. Check out SB Nation Swish Appeal. And then I also write for Clutch Points as well as a sports editor there. So you can check out Clutch Points and check out Swish Appeal and all's good.
Damn, ZD, you got as many jobs as Stephen A. Smith, don't you?
Oh, gosh.
Listen, we want to thank you all for joining us on another Agee and Gates Hoop Dreams podcast where we give you a WNBA update. Listen, follow us, OG Hoop Dreams. We're out there on all of your social media platforms. Follow us and make sure you check out our latest episode, the Agee and Gates podcast. It's something fun for everybody. Peace.